Now, unfortunately, I don't own any Superman shirts, but this is the closest I can get to one. So at least I tried. Welcome to the first installment of DCEU Month, readers. Over the course of this month, in celebration of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, everything I'm going to be talking about will be in regards of the DC Extended Universe, the official interconnected cinematic universe of DC Comics. And what better way to start off DCEU Month than with today's lesson centered around its first installment, Man of Steel. Directed by Zack Snyder and written by the somewhat infamous David Goyer, Man of Steel was the result of Warner Bros. Quickly coming to a deadline regarding the film rights for the character Superman during a court battle within the family of the character's creators, Jerry Siegel and Joel Shuster. Out of multiple pitches from both Hollywood writers and comic book writers alike, Warner Bros. Chose the pitch of Christopher Nolan, famous for the Dark Knight trilogy, and production soon went underway. Slowly but surely, information started to leak about the new movie. Henry Cavill was cast as Superman, Christopher Nolan was revealed to be producing, and Zack Snyder was revealed to be the role as director. Which in itself was enough for me to get fucking stoked. So as you can probably guess by my current tone, my expressions, and probably the title of this video, I enjoyed Man of Steel. Now some of you aren't surprised by this because you also liked Man of Steel. Others are probably in the process of resubscribing to me, just so you can say that you've unsubscribed from me twice. Yes, of course I know that there's a divide of people regarding Man of Steel. You either liked it, or you didn't. Even I, a fan of the movie, know that it could have been better in certain areas. Specifically the writing, but that comes later this month. So trust me when I say that this video isn't me trying to convince those who didn't like it to like it. Given the fact that this video is basically going to be filled with mine, I respect everybody's opinions about this movie. Except for the fucking trolls. Well, what do you mean by trolls, Laurent? Well, by trolls, I mean the people who just hate this movie to hate it. They're the ones who use this movie to constantly start a flame war between DC and Marvel, even though it clearly has been established that you can be fans of both. Readers, it's true that Superman isn't my number one favorite DC superhero. That's reserved for Batman. But he is my second favorite after being introduced to him right after Batman, from seeing his power sets and being introduced to his moral code. And one thing that I knew from the get-go when I saw Man of Steel was that this was a Superman that was in the process of developing that moral code. Because from the moment that he put on his chainmail, I mean, if you look at Jor-El's armor, then yes, what Supes is basically wearing is the Kryptonian version of chainmail. Shit went from 0 to 100 real quick. The pacing of his character development was realistic. I would have more problem with his development if he became the ideal Superman the moment he put on his outfit. But Laurent, what about the pacing in the first movie? It was ideal then. Yes. And he also isolated himself in the Fortress of Solitude with the hologram of Jor-El to teach him shit over a significant amount of time before he returned to the real world. The development happened, we just didn't see it. It was more like a character development montage or some shit. And if you think about it, every major event that happened in Man of Steel could prove as a way for him to eventually handle these decisions in the future. This includes taking fights outside of heavily populated areas, and his decision on not to kill. But of course, people don't see that. They don't focus on these things as character developing situations in order for us to get to our ideal Superman. Instead, they twist these things into making it look like Superman has no sense of morality at all. They like to say things that he didn't save anyone over the course of the movie. Even though he did this. And this. And this.
You okay?
Or my favorite scene. The scene when Superman is on the other end of the world, trying to stop the world engine from terraforming Earth to be like Krypton. seeing him fight the machine and struggle with the atmospheric pressure it created, all while cutting to scenes of Perry White, struggling to get Jenny out of the rubble while the gravity beam was pulsing closer and closer, and then seeing Superman rise from the ground, using every fiber of his being to lift himself up into the sky, and all the strength in his body to fight past the gravity pulse, to destroy the world engine with a velocity that was faster than a speeding bullet, seeing him save the world and every person on it. Every time I see that scene, I get goosebumps. I feel like a kid again, sitting in front of the TV in either my Batman or Superman pajamas, rooting for them to get through their ordeal, like someone rooting for their favorite sports team to score. That's how I knew that this is Superman, and how I know that this will be Superman. So if this edition of today's lesson had a moral, it would have to be a combination of the ones from my Independence Day video and my David Cage video. Let people like what they like, even if you don't or don't see the point. And don't be a dick. Specifically in that order. But readers, your homework assignment for the day. If you enjoyed Man of Steel, what was your favorite scene? List it in the comments section. And for those of you who have felt that today's video was a bit one-sided, trust me, I know about the movie's flaws, and I will address them. Oh yes, I'm coming for that ass. Anyways, this is Readus 101. Class dismissed.